So today's video has a bit more of a serious tone to it as we look into the life and murders of William Bonin, the Freeway Killer. Welcome to the world of Bo. So you literally could smell the pizza from 2 blocks away. On any other Thursday night, you'd have been pacing backwards and forth, stomach rumbling, eagerly awaiting the delivery, and finally tucking into it. But this was no ordinary Thursday night. It was 7 PM, February the 22nd, 1996, and the address was the Death Watch cell in San Quentin State Prison in California, where William George Bonin, also known as the Freeway Killer, was waiting for the delivery of his last meal. To get an understanding how he ended up here, we need to go back to January the 8th, 1947, in Willimantic, Connecticut. William George Bonin was born to Robert Leonard Bonin Sr., a World War II veteran, and his mother, Alice Benton. Both parents were alcoholics, and his father was a compulsive gambler who was physically abusive towards his wife and his children. William, also known as Bill, was the middle child of 3 boys. His parents frequently abandoned him for long periods of time, leaving him hungry and neglected. In fact, neighbours later recalled that the Bonin boys often appeared hungry, dirty and dishevelled. Bill and his brothers were often left in the care of their maternal grandfather. The grandfather, who was a convicted paedophile, had abused their mother while she was growing up and was suspected of also abusing the boys. At around the age of 6, Bill's abusive father lost the family home in a gambling debt, leaving the Bonins homeless. So William and his brothers were sent to the Franco-American Orphanage, which was a Catholic convent school in Lowell, Massachusetts. The orphanage was notorious for harsh discipline, which Bill was believed to have experienced extensively. He was also a chronic bedwetter and suffered from night terrors, which made his punishments even more severe. He left the orphanage around the age of 8 in May 1955 and returned to live with his parents, who had moved in to his mother's parents' house in Mansfield, Connecticut. At around the age of 10 in 1957, William was sent to the Connecticut Juvenile Detention Center for stealing license plates and other petty thefts. There is documented evidence that he was sexually abused there by older boys and even a suspected counselor. A while later, upon his release, Bill and his family moved to Downey, California. This is where he first began molesting younger neighbourhood boys. He later told psychiatrists that he started fondling his younger brother and other children shortly after leaving the detention centre. These early acts were all unreported. There's nothing much known after this time until William turned 19 in December 1966, where he dropped out of the high school and joined the US Air Force. While in the Air Force, William was recruited as an aerial gunner on a gunship, and he was eventually shipped off to Vietnam. After nearly 4 years of service, he was discharged in 1969. He received the Air Force Good Conduct Medal. He moved back to Downey to live with his mother for a while and got a job as a truck driver, which gave him more freedom to cruise for young neighbourhood boys. Within a few months, he was arrested for molesting boys and charged with the kidnapping and molestation of 5 teenage boys aged between 12 and 18. He was convicted of assault with intent to commit sodomy and initially sentenced to 2 years in the state prison. However, the judge deemed him dangerous to others. His sentence was upgraded to an indefinite term at Atascadero State Hospital for the mentally disordered, where he spent 2 years there being treated with therapy, hormones and even electric shock treatments, but the doctors eventually deemed him a lost cause and gave up. They transferred him to Folsom Prison for a minimum of 5 years. He was released back to the public in 1974, but by 1975 he was again arrested for attacking a 14-year-old boy named David McVicker. He was sentenced to an indeterminate term of 1 to 15 years, but served only 3 years and was released again in 1978. After being paroled, he immediately went back to picking up and assaulting young boys. In 1979, he murdered his first confirmed victim, a 17-year-old called Marcus Felix Grabs, a German exchange student who had been stabbed 20 times, strangled and dumped off Angeles Crest Highway under a large bush. Over the next year, along with 4 known accomplices, Vernon Butts, Gregory Miley, James Monroe and William Pugh, they took the lives of over 21 young victims. The boys were aged between 12 and 19. William Bill Bonin was finally arrested on June 3rd, 1980, after one of his accomplices, William Pugh, informed on him to the police, providing names, dates and even locations of the victims. Bonin was sentenced to death in 1982. He ate his last meal on Thursday the 22nd of February 1996, which consisted of 2 large pepperoni and sausage pizzas, 3 pints of coffee ice cream and 3 6-packs of Coke. He started eating but stopped, couldn't finish the meals. Guards said he just sat there staring at the walls. Maybe he finally felt guilty for the horrendous crimes he committed. William Bonin was finally executed on February the 23rd, 1996 by lethal injection. He was the first person to be executed in this way in California. It was witnessed by over 50 relatives of his victims, including David McVicker, the boy Bonin had nearly killed back in 1975. Afterwards, David McVicker said that it finally felt like justice and he could rest easy now, knowing that Bonin had finally gone. That was the life and ending of the serial killer William Bonin, otherwise known as the Freeway Killer. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. If you have any comments, leave them below and I'll reply to you as soon as we can. And this was the first video we did of this kind, and we hopefully want to do a lot more, so let us know if you want to see more and we'll catch up with you soon. So have a good day and bye for now.